All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kitchen Table Travel. We're not at the kitchen table because it was too bright. Maybe if this doesn't suck, we will do this at the kitchen table. I'm joined, as I often am in life, by my friend and wife, Elizabeth Anne Hill. Good afternoon, BA.
Hi.
You and I have been to Italy before.
We have. We went last summer.
Tell me what your expectations for Italy were.
I had been there once before, but that was more of like a cities thing. Like in 2011, my mom and I went to Rome and Florence and the Cinque Terre, which is like the 5 towns on the coast. Mm-hmm. And so like that was really enjoyable. And obviously like I love France and Spain. And so Italy is like very similar, and I knew the food would be good and that the people would be like mostly pretty nice and that it would be beautiful. But I think what I was most excited about for this trip was that we were staying at a villa in the countryside. And I just like love being in the middle of nowhere in a foreign country. Like as fun as it is to see Paris and Rome and all that, like it can be kind of overwhelming and even just feel like you're surrounded by tourists. But like I love being in the middle of nowhere.
So being at a villa with a bunch of Americans that you know, some we knew, some we didn't, in a foreign country was kind of a strange experience because like we were in Italy, clearly, like explicitly, like the surroundings, but still like surrounded by Americans. Right,
because it was for a wedding, I should say too.
It was for a wedding, which was really interesting in looking back on that experience. Like, you know, it looked like Italy, but 90% of our time we were not like around Italians. We were around English-speaking Americans.
True, and that area is very popular with like English tourists. Like one day we walked over to this like vacation. It was kind of like a resort area, and it was just like full of people from England. Yeah. And then obviously Sting is English, and he was our neighbor.
That's right. We went to Sting's place a few times.
Yeah.
He was a really good neighbor, really kind. Yeah.
He wasn't there.
Maybe. We don't know.
He's too busy making all the olive oil and wine by hand that they sell.
By feet, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Hello, Lou. Venice. We flew into Venice. And then I just want to talk about I'm just fascinated by Venice, the Venice airport,
it was kind of wild. And I don't think I had any idea what that would look like really before we went.
Yeah.
I've never flown into an airport quite like that.
Well, was it the Marco Polo airport?
Yeah.
Yeah, which has also made me laugh.
Uh-huh.
So the airport in Venice, airport code, I don't remember, is on mainland Italy. And you know, like when you usually fly into an airport and there's usually like transit options, and you get off the plane and there's like taxis this way, train this way, especially like, you know, in Amsterdam, like there's just like, it's a multimodal travel center, right? The most interesting thing about the Venice airport was the water taxi access to the city of Venice. And that was one of the most bizarre, like it was like one of those experiences where like, oh yeah, duh, but also what a crazy experience it was to like get off an airplane, go through customs, and then like get on a boat to get to Venice.
Yep.
What are your other thoughts about public transit around Venice? You and I spent a lot of time on some of the boats there.
I mean, obviously you see like the gondolas. I think that's like the image that everyone has of getting around Venice on a gondola, but like it's pretty expensive and obviously like very touristy. And we just spent most of our time like on the water taxis, which is like the public bus system.
Yeah.
And they come pretty regularly, and I found it pretty easy to use.
Pretty intuitive. I think it's a lot of places I've been in my life, especially in Europe. I've really enjoyed how like water taxis are such a great way to like see, like, especially if a city's on the water, it's such a great way to see the city or like experience like, you know, see something in a different way. Like whether when we were in Venice or when we were in Geneva, we did the boats there.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. And like in Copenhagen, the water taxis are a great way to like go up and down the canals. Like it's just, I think we don't have anything like that in America. I can't think of
like Pacific Northwest, the ferries maybe. But
Yeah.
I think like most of the places we've been, or in Michigan, like if you're getting on a boat, it's kind of like a luxury experience and probably like a paid tour or charter boat or something like that. So it's weird to be like, oh, this is the cost of a bus ticket. It's €2.
Yeah, like in Venice, we just like got on the water taxi and just like went, I think we went around the entire like main island until like we couldn't anymore. Or at least like
and it was hot, so that
hot,
felt kind of good
so
to just be sitting there and like
maybe a little bit of people watching. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. I don't think I could have spent more time in Venice, but I'm happy we went. Happy we did the time that we did there.
Totally. It's like a once in a lifetime thing that I think is worth seeing, and like, yeah, it's one of a kind.
Now, we made a decision while we were in Venice, or we had to travel back through Venice to leave. We made a decision to stay somewhere that most tourists don't. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we were on the island of Murano. Obviously, like Venice is hundreds of islands.
Yeah, Murano named after the Nissan Murano full-size SUV. No. Sponsored.
Anyway, it is one of the other islands that's not what you're picturing when you think of Venice, but it's known for the artisan glass that they make there. So there's a lot of like art galleries, and it's just glass everywhere. And during the day, like some touristy traffic, but by probably 5 or 6 o'clock, I think maybe this had something to do with the water taxis, but like all of the tourists clear out. And since we were staying on the island, like we just had dinner. We had cacchetti. I think about that, which is basically just like little pieces of bread, sometimes with some fish on it or different toppings. So it has kind of like an appetizer vibe, and you get a couple of those and a glass of wine. And we probably, went to 3 or 4 places. And one thing that I really appreciated, because I don't actually speak Italian, but I do speak Spanish and French, is I was able to like kind of put some things together that like mostly made sense. And they responded to me in Italian, and I like ordered all those cacchetti and glasses of wine, and they like kind of took me seriously, which like in Paris rarely happens. Like unless you're a very confident French speaker, they will speak to you in English. And so, yeah, there I was like ordering in Italian, surrounded by Italians. Like we did not feel like it was a touristy place to stay at all. And we had some really good meals besides the cacchetti. And like one thing that I will always remember, can you guess it?
The kids jumping off the...
Yeah. Like there were just a couple of like teenage boys that were jumping into the water they like climbed up on the bridge and jumped in, and they were doing that again and again. And they clearly like lived there. And that was just their like nightly routine, jumping into the water, which is very cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't have jumped into that water after looking at
Probably not super clean, but I feel like if they live there, they maybe know.
They're resilient kids.
Yeah. But there were just kids like kicking a ball around, and like people, that lived there and were just like going about their business, which was very nice.
Yeah. It felt, everyone, mean, not everyone, but many people who travel like crave these sort of like authentic experiences that are often like curated to them to be authentic. But the time on Murano, I think especially after dinner and just like walking around sunset, where all of the tourists who like were staying on, you know, mainland Venice or whatever it's called, or the island of Venice. I don't know what the main island's called. But, you know, the one that everyone goes to. After that, like, it was just so quiet and peaceful, and it really did feel like this was a place where people, like, normal people live. Because the main island, the center island of Venice, because it's so popular, very few people live there. It has become, like, really so touristy, and it's not like, I mean, they have expanded, terraformed more land, but at the end of the day, there's only so much, you know.
Yeah, and you can make a lot of money with an apartment to rent. So everything's a rental.
But Murano, they actually like lived there. And that was really, really cool.
It was.
Even if the glass stores were kind of
not our favorite.
Not our favorite things.
Yeah. And then I liked to, like, we just walked a lot, and we were just kind of like looking at people's backyards and like
your favorite activity. Whether
spying on people's housing situation.
Whether in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Venice, Italy.
Yeah, I want to see what they got going on.
Is like walking around sunset, like peeking into windows, like, what you
making for dinner
what
over
you
there?
doing over there? Look, interesting. Like, what are you looking for?
I just think it's like interesting to watch people do their daily life stuff, and I want to see what the inside of their house looks like. I love being invited over to people's homes.
So you can like...
seeing what they got going on.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's your style? What's on your bookshelf? What's in your fridge?
What's in your like closet? Like,
yeah.
Where does this end?
I just want to know.
You're looking under crawl spaces, like you got any dead rats?
Yeah. Show me your pantry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know.
When we were in Italy last summer... we also went to Florence. You've been to Florence before. I had not. What were your thoughts on Florence, Italy? Like, what do you think you would do again? What do you think people shouldn't do? Just feedback on Florence. Florence feedback.
Well, I will say that when I went to Florence in 2011, it was like one of my favorite cities in Europe. Like, very walkable, very beautiful. It didn't feel touristy then, but this time it really did. And I don't know, maybe we can pull up some stats and see, like, but yeah, Florence is just blowing up. And we were there on the worst weather day that we could possibly have. It was raining sideways. And, you know, we're trying to like take cute pictures with the group and do fun things. And it was just really hard because like
it was pouring rain.
And like, I don't mind a little rain. Like, I'm happy to throw on a raincoat and walk around a city. Like, that's fine. I've done that many times, but we were just drenched.
Yeah.
Like,
we're hardy people.
Yes.
Like, we don't mind a little bit of rain or snow.
Yeah.
But this was on another level.
Yeah. And we stopped for panini at this one place, and I like really had to go to the bathroom, and the door was locked. And I was like knocking on the door, and I like asked someone like, "Oh, is there someone in the bathroom?"
Do it in Italian.
I forget.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. It's not in my brain right now, but maybe I asked that in English. Anyway, I was like getting really upset because no one was coming out of the bathroom. And I think it was just like locked. I think, yeah, something happened. And thank God for Matt, because he was like, "I'm going to go get a coffee. Why don't you just come with me?" And because like in Europe, you can't just use a bathroom anywhere. Like, you will get yelled at or like just serious shade if you go and use the bathroom and you didn't buy anything. So thankfully Matt bought a coffee and I used the bathroom over there. But yeah, I had heard so much about Florence, obviously, and it's such high expectations for it going in. You know, I'd read a lot about things like Florence syndrome, where people are like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," you know, that you're just gonna like break down and cry. And I was like, "Oh, challenge accepted." 1 second. It was cool. Yeah, we weren't there very long.
Yeah, we were there for like the majority of the day.
I think we would have had a better time. It was also the busiest time of year.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't bad. I just don't know, like...
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, it was fine. Let's go to the villa. So last summer when we were in Italy, we stayed at a villa.
Yes. We should back up that we almost got kidnapped.
Oh, yeah. We almost got kidnapped when we were traveling to Italy last summer.
So we leave Florence on the train. No, Venice on the train. Mm-hmm. And we get to this tiny little town called Figline. And we're supposed to have a car waiting for us there. A man named Marco is supposed to pick up like 8 of us in a big van. And like I have been tasked with getting everyone in the van to the villa. Like Sarah had like set everything up ahead of time. And so I'm like, you know, we got to be like looking for Marco as soon as we get off the train. He's going to meet us at this spot. Like we got to be ready for Marco. And so I see this big van and I like wave it down and I'm like, Marco? And he's like, yeah, Marco.
Yeah, Marco. That sounds right.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, 8 people in Italian. And I'm like pointing to us in our bags. And he's like, yeah, see. And like loads all of our bags into the car. And, you know, I say we're going to Podere la Specola, which is the name of the villa. And, you know, managed to say like, we are here for the matrimony of Eric and Sarah, our friends. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's like, yeah, of course. And so he starts to drive us and he gets a call. We're like 3/4 of the way there. He gets a call on his cell phone. I understand nothing that he says, but he says something in Italian and I kind of say like, yeah, Marco, like, you know, everything's good. Like, just take us to the villa. And so he does. And he unloads the car and I give him a big tip and we get out and Sarah's like there with the man, or how did it go down?
Well,
someone had called the villa.
Because once we got there, we were like, oh, everyone got out of the car. It's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then like, I think shortly after we all got there, like she got a call from the real Marco. And everyone was like, I am here at the train station. We're Americans.
Where are your friends? You know, are they okay? And apparently that man was not Marco at all. And Sarah had paid someone else who like did speak English and like was more of like a professional service, to be fair. Yeah. He was like wearing a suit and stuff. And then so he like came to the villa to clear things up. And we said like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We didn't know, and had a good laugh about it. I think we tossed him some money too, so that
we ended up using him for other stuff.
We did. Yeah.
He
was funny.
That was fun. The best thing we did when we were in Tuscany, my favorite thing, which as you know, includes 2 wheels. Mm-hmm. We rented some bikes, some e-bikes, thank goodness. And I got to live, you know, a little bit of my biking through Europe fantasy. Mm-hmm. We biked around, I don't know how many, we spent most of the day, I think it was a good 6 hours biking around Tuscany, going to a few cities, stopping at some wineries. It was unreal. That was one of my favorite things I think I've ever done in my life.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, like that didn't feel touristy at all. Like at most places where we stopped, we were like the only people there. I mean, it was pretty like easy to do, I guess. But there are also like just so many wineries in Tuscany that.
Yeah, it was just so much fun. It was so beautiful. Yeah. And it wasn't as
Chianti.
Chianti, it wasn't as intimidating as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's kind of a loop, so it's not like there's a million like turns that you could take.
I mean, I took us on a loop. I had my phone out.
You did.
I was like, take a left here. Otherwise, we would have
just
gotten lost.
Follow Ryan.
Yeah, this is how our traveling arrangement works. You talk to people. Mm-hmm. I will navigate us to the place where you have to talk to people.
Yes, that's completely fair.
That would be our combination in The Amazing Race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Italy was fine. I don't know if I would go back.
What was your problem with it?
It was okay. Everything was okay. It was, I would like to go to Northern Italy. I think in retrospect, I mean, I'm happy we went by all means. Like, I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to go, and I should be, I should feel grateful for it because I am. But looking back, I think if we go back to Italy, it's probably going to be like Northern Italy, the Dolomites. Mm-hmm. That's more our speed. Yeah. Like when we went to France and Switzerland, like I think that was more like what we like to do. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.